Hello, and welcome to another episode of Video Game Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Gauntlet-likes on the Nintendo Switch. So, Gauntlet-likes is a top-down action game, and if you've seen any other reviews online, basically comparing it to a cross between Gauntlet and Zombies Ate My Neighbors is pretty darn accurate. That's basically what it is. So, with a name like Gauntlet-likes, you might expect there to be a lot of melee combat. You might think of something like Golden Axe, but it's not like that at all. While you do have a melee attack, you're going to spend most of your time with your long-range attack. You're going to run around and shoot things. So in that sense, it's very much like Gauntlet. There is some amazing 2D sprite work here. It's a very pretty game. There's arguably not enough variety in the backgrounds. There's only 4 stages, and they're pretty samey, but they're beautiful. The music and sound effects and the voices are all very crunchy. It looks and sounds like a early to mid 90s arcade game, like 100%, like maybe something you would see on the Neo Geo. So overall, the presentation is fantastic, with one very, very important exception, which really has a strong impact on the gameplay, and that is the camera is just zoomed in a little too close. You can't really see that much of what's happening around you, which makes things like unnecessarily difficult and less enjoyable overall, I would say, than it could have been. You know, if they had maybe some options for the distance of the camera from the action, I think that would have done wonders for this game. Also, I want to say, as a single player experience, it's not that engaging. You know, you'll sit down and you'll do maybe a couple of runs on it. You'll play it for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you'll be done with it. And sometimes that's okay. But this game really shines in couch co-op. That's almost like the only way to play it. So if couch co-op isn't really an option for you, if you don't have anybody locally that you hang out with and play video games, I don't know that I really recommend this. Also, a very key point that needs to be mentioned, you have 3 lives and no continues. When you die, it's all over. You start from the beginning. It's not a roguelite. You don't upgrade your character over multiple playthroughs. When you start over, you truly start over. It's old school in that sense, and there's potentially nothing wrong with that. I love a lot of old school games. That's mostly what I play, but it doesn't really work here. And again, also, there's only 4 stages, so it's not that long of a game, and it seems like you should be able to get through it, and it's honestly pretty frustrating. After a while, you get really tired of starting all over, but as you get better, I think it probably is beatable. But again, couch co-op is really going to help your chances with that, I think. So basically, you wander around these maps, you defeat enemies, very similar to Gauntlet. The Gauntlet games, for those of you who have played those, there are like these enemy generators, and so, you know, obviously you want to take those out so you can move on without being pestered by all these little enemies. You also, similar to Zombies Ate My Neighbors, there are civilians or people that you have to rescue. Well, actually, I don't think you really have to rescue them, but they're there to be rescued. And then one of the biggest criticisms of this game is after each level there is a shop where you can buy items, but there's no description of what the items do. So you kind of have to piece that out or piece that together for yourself. It just would have been nice to have that be a little more clear. Also important and worth noting, so you can get a turkey, which will replenish your life, or you can also get a magic spell, which is like it'll clear the screen of enemies. But you can only carry 1 item. So if you have a turkey in your item slot and you buy a magic spell, you don't have a turkey anymore. So I personally would go with the health replenishment. I'd go with the turkey. All of the boss designs are pretty cool. It's a pretty well animated game, as you can see. Like I said, the presentation is great. You know, you've got 3 characters to choose from. You've got an elf, like an elf rogue, who's got the speed, and her focus, like her melee attack is probably the quickest, but her projectiles are the slowest. Then you've got the dwarf, which is probably somewhere in the middle in terms of speed versus strength, and then you've got the wizard, who has the fastest projectile, and he's my go-to character because, as I mentioned earlier, you're only going to probably use your melee attacks in emergency situations. Most of the time, you're going to want to be shooting enemies from a distance, so the wizard's long-range attack is like hands down the way to go, especially if you're playing this game solo. So I don't really have a lot else to say about this game, man. I mean, I've pretty much covered it. The last thing that I'll talk about is value for the dollar, which is kind of a major issue for this game. So the standard price is $30, which is, to be honest, way too high. Way too high. I don't know if I've ever seen a more overpriced game in recent memory. So I got it on sale for 50% off. I paid $15 for it, and even that I feel like is more than it should be. I feel like the sweet spot for this game would be about $10. So, you know, you've seen the video, you've heard what I had to say. If you think that it's going to be your cup of tea, despite its definite faults, you know, then stick it on a wish list and wait for it to go on a deep sale. I would strongly recommend not dropping full price on this game. I didn't, and I still feel like I paid a little too much. So there you have it, man. That's my 2 cents on Gauntlet-likes on the Nintendo Switch. Please click like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Click that little bell. You'll get notifications when I release a new video. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.